Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corse, and I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. Actually, this is an archive. March, April 2006. And I've got Bernie Reese, who used to be with Federated. He's retired now, enjoying himself. But way back when, this was a thick one, 252-page issue. Unbelievable. Let's see. Oh, I am on the San Diego Carrier. That's where my picture is way back when. Oh, I'm trying to get this so you don't get any glare. Anyway, I was in New York. I forget what carrier I was on, but anyway, that's where I was. I got brown hair, no gray. Woo! That was 18 years ago. Unbelievable. But really good issue, 252 pages. We were thick back then. You know, I mean, look at this thing. It's like almost like a a wedding magazine, So anyway, but we're digital now. Went digital August 21st, August of 2021, and haven't looked back since. And it's been an amazing journey from going from print face to digital. Hope everybody had an awesome weekend. Yesterday is a very solemn holiday, Memorial Day. Thank you to everybody out there that's serving today. And our thoughts and prayers are with all the families who, lost loved ones, over the years and so forth. And I come from a military family. My grandfather was underneath Patton as a combat engineer, building the bridges back in World War II. And my stepdad was in the Navy. We all come in the military. So I used to take down the flag every day before dinner and, fly it in the morning. And so, it's a solemn day, for me. And just all in all, hope everybody, relaxed, had fun with families, reminisced, and all that good stuff. Wild weekend, though, in sports. The NCAA lacrosse, both women's and men's done. Northwestern, #1 in the country. You got the Fighting Irish, the Coach Kurgan. He's been coach at Notre Dame for 35 years. Has never won the national championship. And they beat Duke yesterday and got their first national championship trophy for their athletic center. So congrats to the Irish. Job well done. They played Duke. Duke actually in the semifinals, the guy stepped on the line and they shouldn't have allowed that goal in overtime. But sorry, Penn State, that's the way it goes because there's no replay in college lacrosse. But I guarantee they're going to put it in next year because Penn State, well, I don't know if they would have won, but that goal shouldn't have been allowed. So Duke losing in the finals, they really, really didn't deserve to be there. But that as a lacrosse thing, that's the big stink that's been all over Twitter. And, everybody was, yakking, oh, they need replay, they didn't replay. And, but the refs, everything's so fast, they can't get it, So, but it was a great game, great season. And, let's see who else. Got the finals for the NHL. Finally, the Stanley Cup's going to happen. You got the Panthers against the Knights. Unbelievable. None of the traditional six are in there. You got the NBA finals coming up too, and it's the Heat against the Denver Nuggets. And once again, the Nuggets. They don't think they've ever won a national championship. And I went to DU and lived in Denver. Have fond memories of Alex English and Kiki-Vanderway and all that stuff when I was growing up. So, good luck to look, made the best team win. I just like close games and and sportsmanship. One of my buddies down in San Antonio, I went to prep school with, he was a captain of our lacrosse team. I got my sticks behind me there too. Anyway, he texted me after the game and he goes, "This is great. They beat on each other for 2.5 hours and then they shake hands, just like in hockey. Any sport that doesn't shake hands after the game, I just can't handle it. You got to shake hands, just like in the old guys league, we beat on each other, we curse and all that stuff. But then we end up in the parking lot, drinking some beers and hanging out because we all got to go to work on Monday, so, and some dirty jokes and all the other stuff that flies out there, cigars and whatever else happens. And, it was a great sports weekend. And, what a season for all those teams. For the teams that didn't win, hey, guess what? Rebuild, regroup, add a couple pieces that you need, and do it all over again next year. And it all comes down to having a hot goalie, momentum, and being healthy. And you run into a team that's got a chip on their shoulder, like Notre Dame didn't make the tournament last year, and they were a really good team, and they showed that they were thinking about it all year, and that's why they won, I think. They just had the mojo. I mean, they were like, we're winning this freaking thing. We're bringing this thing home. So enough with sports. Got a great guest. He's been in retail forever. His name is Nick Harbaugh. He's with Flexecution. He's the vice president of the Americas, and he's also known as the Retail Nomad. So, Nick, say hello to our guests out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Well, hello there to everyone. Appreciate you having me on here, Dave.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're a legend. Especially with your cardboard cutouts that Steve Heckman brings, all over you or your shop or wherever. So, you're a famous individual. I'm honored to have you on my my show. So we really appreciate you. Listen, after the holiday weekend, everybody's busy or they take off to, whatever. So we really appreciate you finding a few minutes to tell your story and all that good stuff. So,
likewise.
Yeah. So this is the way it works. We'll do it in 3 parts. You'll tell your story, where you grew up, brother, sister, how you played any sports, where you went to school and how you ended up where you are today and how you got the Retail Nomad name. And then we'll talk about the last 3 years of the roller coaster, some lessons learned that some of our listeners out there might find of interest. And then one positive thought or phrase in your contact info, and then we'll close it out. So with that said, Nick, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Awesome. Well, once again, Dave, I appreciate you having me on here. I follow your podcast. It's always intriguing. I love the straightforwardness, the grit and our industry, what it brings and so forth. But with myself, I grew up in the middle of Ohio, the middle of the cornfields, about 30 miles east of Columbus, a little rural blue collar community. I love what it builds and what it makes out of us. It's a lot of mechanical aptitude type of things, that we were derived with back in the day. And we had the ability when I was younger, started out in college and mechanical engineering. And I love that, let's build this, let's make this type of scenario. And after college, I ended up at a drugstore chain called Drug Emporium, back in the early 90s. We're going back a ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had hair back then, Dave. Yeah, I tell you.
Me too. Yeah, I got you. I'm right there with you.
That we're speaking the same language, but I loved it because it taught me that retail segment, and I started getting promoted up through the ranks, and they started sending me around to, hey, you want to go remodel some stores in Philadelphia? I did Cherry Hill, in New Jersey. I think right across from maybe where you remember. And I love that, the ability to go in there, that we're giving you a complex problem, can you solve it type of thing. So keep in mind, I was on the retail side back then, right? And I had an old buddy. Then I came back to Columbus. They moved me back to Columbus for a while. And they would shoot me around. I went around to DC and then some other markets where Drug Emporium was in major metros, and did some remodels. Came back to Columbus and met an old buddy of mine from my hometown. And long story short, I ended up going to work at a firm that he was working with. And that kind of opened me up to the service channel side of our industry, right? I remember I was assistant manager in the evening, 9 o'clock at night. We're getting ready to lock up the doors. He comes in, I'm like, aren't you from my hometown? And it was like Jeff Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know you, dude. One of those type of things. And he's like, yeah. And I go, what are you in here doing? And he was changing the check stand, the gums. Dentine tried it, the actual gums and candies. He was changing the labeling on there. And I'm like, I was very intrigued with this. And he was getting paid by a marketing firm. So it triggered me. Long story short, I ended up leaving Drug Emporium, going to work ultimately after negotiating to this marketing firm. And him and I both worked there for a few years. And we ultimately ended up leaving and starting our own entity, in about October of 94, we started our own entity called RMS, Retail Marketing Services. 2 guys were, kind of young and clueless in the industry, really didn't know what we were doing, but we were pretty lucky. We got a hold of Lowe's, GNC, Radio Shack, those two really enveloped us nicely because they had 4,000 plus units, Radio Shack and GNC primarily. So we would go, hey, do you guys want to change out all the signage? And I'm like, in every one of your stores? Like, wow, how much time are you going to give us? Type of thing. We're trying to figure out that puzzle, if you will. And it was really cool, exciting, trying to solve those Rubik's Cubes, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So long story short, I ended up selling out to him, and I ended up relocating to the West Coast. Lowe's, we were building Lowe's in about a 6 or 7 state region in the Midwest US. Lowe's had just acquired a chain out west, and I don't even remember the name of them. Oh no, it wasn't Orchard Supply Hardware, but another chain out west.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Hey, we need help to remodel these stores." I'm like, "Dude, I'll go. Good. I'm ready to bounce out of Ohio and ready for a change." And I moved to San Diego and opened up an office. So I became RMS West, and then we rebranded his entity out of Ohio, our home original office, as RMS East. So it was a great correlation. Anything east of the Mississippi, I gave to him. He covered everything west. I covered out west, and it worked out really well. Rode that wave of growth out in Cali for about 9 to 10 years. And then ultimately, I ended up leaving the US back in 05, leaving San Diego, relocating and repositioning to Costa Rica. But with the modern technology, got the cell phone, international plan, and emails, that's when things were starting to skyrocket with the digital and all that type of communication systems. And technically I called Costa Rica home since 2005. So I've been down south here for a hot minute, if you will. But with today's technology, you and I are still able to communicate now these days, obviously with Zoom and some of those advancements. But it's really enveloped nicely into allowing me to connect with and stay connected to the industry, even though I'm not able to attend every trade show and get belly to belly at these type of events. And doing that, I did attend, I think, back in the day with Global Shop when it's still thriving.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Global Shop.
Yeah, I bumped into good old Larry Thibodeau with Flexecution, and we were able to start chit-chatting, and it opened up that dialogue that technically Larry and I say we joke about it. We were competitors back in the 90s, but I loved it because when he said yes, it meant yes, and he had really good work ethic.
I've known Larry. I mean, I see him, but I've known Larry a long time. I mean, he goes back way back.
Totally. Yeah. So he originated back, I think, in South Carolina, back in LJ, I forget the word, but that was his original company in the late 80s type of thing. And I just loved his style and what he was about. So we found ways to work together. And now, I just go out there and, farm and fish and kind of hunt and gather and trying to find the right fit, because as you well know in our industry, not every piece of business is the right piece of business. And we're very selective, and we know what our demographic audience is and what a good client base is for us. And I try to be that sniper, laser focused to bring in those nice components, nice pieces of business. And we're not the bottom. We're not going to be the cheapest. We're not going to be the most expensive. Hopefully, we bring value, and that's what I look at my task and my responsibilities now with this team and organization. And I absolutely love it. It's one of the best working arrangements I've had probably in my entire career. So it's fantastic. I enjoy it day in and day out. And, it makes it to where it doesn't feel like work, if you will.
For those of you who don't know where Costa Rica is, it's in Central America, and it's very close to the equator. So the tide only goes up about 6 inches to a foot. Am I right? Every day, or is it a little?
It depends on the month and the season. Right now, rainy season is just starting. Today is the first day of rain for the area I'm in. So you brought rains to the area, Dave. They're going to love you. The plants are happy. The animals and cows are happy out here. So we're in a desert/tropical. So we just came off of basically about a 6-month window of not one drop of rain.
Wow.
So literally today's is the first rain in the community.
But you're near the equator, though. Am I right?
We're about 9 degrees north where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
So it keeps it warm. It's hot down here.
Yeah. My bud's got a place in Panama, and it's like basically almost right on the equator. But he said, they're surfers from New Jersey, but they have a house down there. Anyway, they're surfers. They go down and they know where the surf is. But anyway, he's like, you'd freak out because the tide only goes up, maybe 6 inches. He's got his house out on stilts on the water, and he's got this clear plexiglass thing. You can look down, on the coral, and it just looks beautiful. But if you're a surfer, Central America's got some great surf, believe it or not. It's not like Florida where it's flat or anything, so they're surfer bros, and they go down there. They've been bugging me to go down there. I said, hey, I think I'm going to make the next trip. I haven't been on my board in a long time, but it's like riding a bike,
Nice. Well, you make it down to Panama, you let me know, and I'll stop down there. We'll have a cup of coffee.
Now,
And
Costa Rica's it's on my bucket list. I mean, it looks beautiful. Grenada, Costa Rica, all that stuff. It looks awesome. So I can't think of a better place to hang out. You know, coming from Ohio to San Diego to Central America. You know, not too bad of a of a homestead resume. You know,
You know
so
what I say? I say it works for me. I've had some buddies come down and they brought the wives and they weren't really into the adventure. It's a lot of outdoor adventure, and it's hot, it's we got a lot of dirt roads, type of thing
oh
to get
yeah.
to some of these remote beaches. And it's jungle beach is what I call it, which I grew up in that farming blue collar area. A lot of farming here. It's just warm beachy connectivity.
Yeah, sure. So
Absolutely.
So you're in Central America, you've gone through, the dot-com burst, the economy falling off the cliff in '08, the economy kind of just, the housing market crash, and then whatever happened over the last couple of years, and now you got the roller coaster over the last 3 years, and now there's always something, that's happening. So through that all, talk about like the last 3 years, especially, as far as, lessons that you learned. You were out of the country, so you weren't in the United States, saying you weren't in, let's say, like Ohio was kind of an open state versus California, which was kind of a closed state. If you were in the States, during the last, during the the shutdown over the last couple of years. So, but right now we're kind of opening up. And we're basically open. There's still some little things here and there, but for the most part, the country's open up. But talk about how it was down in Central America, across the border.
Yeah, well, I bounced a little bit. I was out of the States more than in, just so you're aware. I was in Spain when I had just finished Euroshop in 2020, right prior, and that was the first location where I saw we had to wear a mask. I'm like, wow, this is wild. And I remember my reaction. I was intrigued. I didn't know what to do, all of that. And then I went from there, from Euroshop in Germany. I was down in Spain when it actually technically started. So I got to see the differences of it. What I would say from my perspective and our organization is it showed us and it taught us how to be nimble and how to turn on a dime. Obviously, thankfully we didn't make widgets, right? We're a service provider. So a lot of our projects, we had to stop on a dime. They just pulled the plug, hit the stop button. And we diverted, I turned left, turn right, and I quickly found opportunities for us to install, directional signage, indicators, keeping our distance, things like that. It really opened up opportunities for us, thankfully, that we were able to tap into our existing client base and as well find new opportunities out there because everybody was responding. It was a reactionary turn. And we were able to connect to some of those resources that they made this, they made that, and they needed to have it installed. And that's what I like to, if I were to put one word about what we specialize in at Flexecution, we are the installation leader, right? So we install things, whatever those things are, fixtures, millwork, decor, signage, directional signage, wayfinding, that type of thing. And it really gave us the opportunity to keep our teams busy and our office team busy. So, we were considered, needed to the marketplace to allow those grocery stores and things to maintain, and stay open, if you will. So,
a lot of I was going to say a lot of the companies that I've spoken to over the last couple of years that, March 2020, they didn't know how long it was going to work. Here we are 3 years later, and we're still freaking talking about it. And the companies that could move quick and make that, I'm so sick of the word pivot, but they stuck their foot and made a turn whichever way it was. But the people that were able to, to be flexible and get their act together are the ones that survived. And they probably had some of the best years, that they've had, believe it or not. The glass can be half full or half empty. Doesn't mean that your business isn't going to thrive. It's all about who, being in the right place at the right time and having that vision. And there were so many companies that, probably reached out and said, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Sure, I can. But you probably hung up the phone and said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get it. Am I right?
We got to figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hung up. I just called my East Coast guy. Hey, man, how are we going to do this? And so I totally get it. If people like last year, they said some of the people I talked to, that I had the best year ever. If I had more superintendents or project managers, I could have bit off more business. But last thing you want to do is bite off more business that you can chew and not deliver, and especially in retail, because everything is open on, with the opening of the store and the circulars, and they back it up. And so that whole dichotomy of, picking and choosing. But I'm telling you, people, if you didn't have an email, and you didn't have, a personal email or a cell phone, it was very tough to get in touch with people right in the beginning, because they didn't want to pick up the phone, because they were going to tell you, hey, all those projects, they're on hold, or I used to pay in 30, but I'm going to do it in 180. I can go down the list of all the things you probably heard. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, let's see, where was I? I had my 10th anniversary event in Jacksonville, first cocktail party in Coconut Grove. And then I was in Milwaukee looking at hotels when, March Madness was canceled and everything got done. Yep. And then, I was working out of my house. I already had a digital magazine. So I was kind of, we were digital anyway, but, I had to, I remember the month of April. I put my March, April issue out, and then I sat back for, a couple of weeks. And my wife said, where are you going? It's 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, I got to get up and I got to think, and, what we're going to do. And then we made that, that transition, to digital. And, it's dicey, and I'm sure a lot of firms that are out there listening to me, if you're a business owner, you didn't really know what you're going to do, and everybody makes mistakes, but you learn from them. You're just hoping that you made the right, the right deduction. And, it's been a wild, that's why I call it the roller coaster, because it's been a wild ride. Sometimes it's been nice and steady. Other times it's slow, and then it goes really quick, down the down thing. There's been a couple of loops in there and stuff.
Exactly.
So, it's been crazy. Let me ask you this, as far as, things that you saw that were really, really cool as you were going out and doing some of these installs, over the last couple of years, what jumps out at you, that.
If I were to summarize one thing, or I guess one topic, I would say that what I witnessed is it kind of hit turbo on the growth of technology and what I see in North America. In my travels, I think we chatted offline about the retail nomad concept. I got to see quite a few differences that differentiates North America from the rest of the world. That Asia blew me away with how advanced they were with technology. And it's like North America, the last few years allowed us to kind of hit turbo on that rate of growth to, I don't want to say catch up, but to advance ourselves. Touchless, frictionless, these type of things. We're in the development stage at some point in each different retail brand, but with what we just experienced, I think it really enveloped and pushed a lot of those advancements forward that we're seeing now today.
Yeah, technology, I don't care what it is, AI or Zoom like we are today. What's amazing is that I don't know, it's been probably a year since I had that project manager. But anyway, he said, look, construction's like the tip of a finger. Your whole finger is the construction process, the cycle of a store before, and your fingernail's probably the construction process, and then the rest of it's maintenance, rebrand, and all that other stuff that goes into it. But it as he said, he goes, AI, the genie's out of the bottle right now. And it's moving at like a pace that no one can even imagine. And that, 5 years from now, you're not going to recognize, what retail looks like and the way that construction's done. I've got my next podcast, I'm doing an AI, and a guy's going to do a demo. He's going to show you how ChatGPT works with construction and figuring out and all that stuff. And I've become a digital guy. I've done a 12-week boot camp. I know autoresponders, all this stuff, funnels. And now I'm taking an AI class, the last 10 weeks. I'm on my 7th week, 8th week. I forget. But I've learned so much. But the bottom line is, the guy that's teaching it, high school dropout, 28 years old, probably made $100 million, 3 books, you know, totally cool. But he said, everything you're going to learn right now, at the end of 10 weeks, it's all going to be obsolete because there's going to be so much new stuff, but you'll know what the foundation is and how to work stuff. And that's the warp speed that this thing is going at. And it's just amazing, you know, technology, you know, like here, before I had Zoom, but I rarely used it.
Exactly.
Now, you know, but this project manager, he goes, in one day, I was in Saudi Arabia, I was in Europe, I was in South America, I was in Central America, I was up in Canada, and I did a couple walkthroughs. Before the shutdown, I that would have taken me weeks. I did all that in one day.
Exactly.
You know? So now you can pick you could pick where you want to go in person and see stuff versus making, you know, let's say you're in Columbus and you had to go to Cincinnati. You know, I could do that on Zoom. Why would I get in the car and go down 71? You know?
Exactly.
You know,
those advances are phenomenal and what it's done for our industry, as well as, I mean, the world, if you look at it, it's not just our industry that it's allowed these advancements, if you will.
This thing right here is the best tool technology can buy. I mean, it spies on you, it listens to you, you know, but this is your connection to the world. And it's your best friend, because if you have, like I said before, if you have a, you know, a personal email or a cell phone, I think texting is unbelievable because everybody will come back to you. You know, your phone, you're connected to the world. It's amazing, you know, and
at our fingertips.
Oh, everything's at your fingertips. And you know, what you would do without it, I think you definitely need some time away from it every day, you know, just to put it down, which is very, very tough. You know, oh yeah, you know, my wife, she's surfing all night, you know, we go to bed, you know, whatever, you know, and I'm like, you know, what are you looking at? Oh, you know, I'm like, she's an interior designer, she's looking at poo-poo stuff.
Exactly.
But you know, no, technology's been an amazing thing. And but still, I don't think AI right off the bat's going to replace, you know, workers and all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be a give and take. And you know, if you're doing rivets and you want them all on a line, sure, you know, but still, someone's got to build all those machines. And, you know, or the machines are going to have to build the machines, but you're going to have to build the machine to build the machines to build the machines.
Exactly. You got to start somewhere with
it, right? You're still going to need people. So the thing is, you know, I think AI, you know, can cut down on some of the paperwork and, you know, just some of the contractual, you know, verbiage, you know, yeah. You know, so it's, but technology, you know, but it's still changing out, you know, gum labels, you know, or whatever.
Exactly. You know, still requires that manual aspect in certain cases, especially with the brick and mortar. Through our generation, we're all going to have it. It's all going to be there, you know. So it keeps it exciting. I will say on the flip side, I just read a report the other day. So I'm referring to the advancement of technology. I love this one. It was in like Norway or Sweden up there. It's a grocery chain. I don't know if you heard this. They are promoting the slow cashier line and promoting the conversational aspect. And the seniors are loving it because think of that senior demographic that aren't really in tune with the smartphones, you know, our grandparents, if you will, and they love that conversational connectivity that we miss so often now because it's all about speed and efficiencies, right? I was very intrigued with that. I was curious to the longevity and if other chains may pick up on that. You know, here's 10 fast scan as you go type of checkouts, and here's Susie and Billy that are willing to talk to you, and it's the slow line, you know, intentionally designed to be the slow line.
You know, I go to the grocery store and they might have like one cashier, but it's all self-serve, you know, but they could be 6, 7, 8 deep, depending on what time of the day you go there. And no one talks to each other. They're just, you know, they're looking on their phone. They're hanging out.
Exactly.
So like they're oblivious to everything. You know, they just keep looking up, waiting to see which, okay, it's my turn, you know? And
totally.
Oh yeah.
Well, think how it is where I'm at, living outside of the US for so long, you know, nearly 18 years. I come back in, I'm like, man, what am I missing? I'm not on half of the social platforms, Instagram or TikTok. I'm not on any of those things. So I'm like, man, I must be missing out on something. Let me check my LinkedIn page.
So what do you build in the house? Someone's hammering in there. What are you doing in there?
I do apologize.
No, it's okay. We're in construction.
I gotta say, it's the neighbor over here is remodeling their place. All of a sudden, they start hammering as soon as you and I start chatting. So I do
That's okay, man. You're good. You're good. Hey, we hope it looks good. You know, it's
I
not.
hope so. It became awful rackety here, awful quick.
No, you're good. You're good. So if what's some of the cool, other than the Norway store with the grocery store, since you've been all over the place, you've seen a lot. What's the coolest thing you've seen over the last year, you think?
I mean, I could just pull out some funny references, right? I mean, just and I'll back up. And I know you and I spoke. I created that retail nomad concept, and as a quick fashion, I started combining my personal interest of travel with our retail industry. And I had some folks back in the States I networked with. They're like, Nick, send us some content. Show us how retail looks the same and yet different around the world. So I came up with the concept, the retail nomad, and I'll just collect a video a week and something that looks a mall, a high end, and showing some of the banners that we're all familiar with, and then showing the diversity of combining the cultural dynamic around the world, right? And one of the funny ones I caught in Guatemala, it was still one of those ones where you had to wear the mask at this point in that time during my travels. So you could order online, and it's in a remote area of Antigua, Guatemala, but you could have your groceries delivered with a 3-wheel tuk-tuk. And I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. So it was literally delivery service combining technology, the e-commerce platform of ordering online of this chain. I think they had 20 or 30 grocery stores. And then this little tuk-tuk pulls up in front of your office like you ordered a pizza, in front of your house, I should say.
Yeah, it's it's the prehistoric Amazon, right?
It was exactly. It just cracked me up. So, I whipped out a little video in the store, and I laughed the whole time about how they were still archaic, but still, combining e-commerce and digital technology. So that was a funny one for me. But I love the lessons learned of the travels, and I whipped out almost under 70 videos last year. Traveling around the world, to 22 countries, and seeing how retail truly is very similar and yet very different. So it's very educational.
Oh yeah, no, I did. My parents were in upholstery, so when I got out of school, I did my retail training at Levitt's, and I put together more of those little sofa tables that were loss leaders that would get people in the back of the store. I scotch guarded. I was a picker. I ran customer. And so my stepdad, he owned a bunch of jewelry stores in Dayton, and built a store, and then afterwards realized I didn't want to sit behind the counter or wait for customers to come in, and and then my family's been in construction since 1888. So I have a construction background. I've worked steel, shoveled asbestos, laid railroad. I mean, we were in demolition, and my cousins are running it today, so
Nice.
But I laugh because everything that I learned, over all that stuff, I'm still a manufacturer. I used to manufacture this. I bought paper, ink, content. I'm a manufacturer, but now I do it digitally. And it's the whole digital. Once again, it's amazing that you can take old school and new school and you can merge them. And I was having this discussion. I was talking. Oh, I know where it was. It was in my publisher's page. God, I just posted that issue. Anyway, my publisher's page. I bought this boat, so I renovated it. And I was talking about the mechanic that was old school. Now everything's computer. You plug it in and it tells you what's wrong with your car. This guy could listen to an engine and tell you what's knocking or what's wrong or whatever. And those guys, you can't find them anymore.
No.
They're a diamond in the rough. These guys are old greasers and
exactly.
So anyway, I picked up my boat to put it in the water this weekend, and I told them both, and my auto mechanic and the marine guy specialist, and I hope you guys, I'll send you the link, but don't get mad at me because I called you greasers in there. He goes, no, man, but
exactly.
But they were just some old dudes, but finding those kind of guys that have that knowledge, that they also are master mechanics and they know how to work the computer, but they're hands on. And the only way you're going to learn retail or whatever you're going to do, I don't care if you're in retail, restaurant, hospitality, shopping centers, craft brew, cannabis, whatever it might be, getting your hands dirty, but then also being able to apply that new technology as it comes into play can make your life so much easier.
To adapt.
Traveling, it is what it is, people, this is my first year back on the road, and I've gone to about 5 or 6 events, and I'm a million mile. Listen, I know you're a million miler. Traveling, people are like, oh, why you're going to Vegas? I'm like, yeah, I go to Vegas like 10 times a year. I used to, for events. The aura has worn off.
Exactly. I'm over it.
Exactly. Yeah, I just want to get there, and
get out of there.
Yeah, traveling's not glorious, but it is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. And being construction, even during the roller coaster in the beginning, and things weren't, listen, all the construction guys, they put their masks on, they got on the plane, and they went. I mean, and listen, we had 3 projects that were down the road. I was a multifamily. There was a fire station getting built, and I think it was a senior living center. And those guys were out there every freaking, every day, working hard and getting those projects done. And and trying to be as safe as possible, and we were lucky because I was in the state of Georgia. We were the first ones really to open up in the country. So,
oh wow, okay,
from that whole regulation thing. I mean, it really depended on what state you were in.
Sure.
When it comes, when it came down to it. But old school technology, merge them, and you can learn from each other. And there's certain things that you should
absolutely,
that you can do old school, and there's other things that technology can cut your time, and but it's amazing, as being the retail nomad, you've got a pretty good gist of in general, because listen, retailers that aren't growing are dying, period.
Exactly. I mean, I will say it was so eye-opening. I was really blown away with what I learned. I mean, yeah, you and I have been in this industry for 20 going on 30 years possibly, right? I will say the one thing that took me back last year in my travels was I went to the originating point of retail accidentally. I had no idea, right? I end up in Istanbul, Turkey, and it was the first location that they had ever taken a market, right? A market of goods. It was where the 2 continents, blended, Asia and Europe, and the Grand Bazaar. It was the first largest market where they built 4 walls around it for 2 reasons, and I had no idea what the hell those were. It was to control pricing and to tax the goods, right? And think of this, that was the originating point of our retail industry we still deal with now. That building that I filmed was built in the 1400s. It was stamped on the side of it. And think of that. From there, I ended up coincidentally in Asia. So I went to where the silk was produced, that they moved the silk across the Silk Roads. They stopped in the Grand Bazaar, traded their goods. And then I also created a video in Spain at the Silk Exchange, which was one of the final destination points of travel to sell their goods and garments to the kings and queens, which is where the wealth was at that point. So literally a travel, if you look at the map, I went from where they made some of the goods, the teas and the silks, the point of merchant, if you will, where retail originated, to the ending point where they sold it to the empires. It was really an educational, eye-opening experience for me, and to see what we deal with today. A lot of it hasn't changed much. We got this.
I was going to say, Turkey totally is the gateway to Asia. I mean, it's on the eastern side of Europe, and they're in NATO, and Turkey is, but it's basically that is the bridge to Asia.
Exactly. For the waterways and the landways. I had no idea. What I learned of the path, that the carts that they would travel across the path, or they would put the goods from the cart onto the boat and then sail around to Spain. It's just so educational.
China, they're going to build they want to build the highway or the train system all the way from China all the way through Turkey. That's going to go through basically
connect Europe and everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's their, from a construction standpoint, that's what I'm thinking of. But they have other agendas too, world domination, whatever it might be. But totally. they are going to put the road in. I mean, that's their bit, that's their gig. They want to go through that whole thing, and they'll probably do it too.
Sure, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
So Nick, if you were going to leave one I know you're kind of left a phrase, but if you were going to leave one positive thought or phrase with our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk land, what would it be? What would you want to leave with them, other than being nimble?
I was just going to say, I don't know if I could say just one. I would say find your why. You know, find your purpose, find your intent. Don't worry about the others. Define you and go get it. You know, one step at a time. Baby steps equal big steps, right? Positive energy equals positive results. And just go be you. That's all I do in this world, you know.
I'm totally about positive mindset. I'm always about small wins are great, big wins are great, but a lot of small ones lead to big ones. And it doesn't matter how tiny that small win is, it's a win. You know, it's just like when I go to it's like when I go to the P.O. box. I don't care if there's a 63-cent dividend check in there. It's money. It's there. When there's no money in the P.O. box, it's a bummer of a day. You know? So I told my wife, hey, what do you think? Think there are any checks in there? You know, so, you know, and with technology, a lot of people do ACH, you know, but, you know, there's still. So going to the P.O. box, it's like Christmas. It's like, oh, what's in here? Is there anything in here? I got some, got a check. Yay. You know, so
totally. I'm
so
100% on board with you.
But mindset is, you know, listen, if you're doing business with someone negative out there, get rid of them. Exactly. Move on. Find someone else who's positive, wants to play in your sandbox, because
absolutely,
you know, they can just bring you down. It's just, you know, being negative and not staying positive. If you're not having fun, go do something else. You know, and the day I stop learning is the day I should go do something else. So I am right there with you, you know, as far as you know, that
awesome.
You know, your thought. If someone wanted to reach out to you and you know, bounce some questions off you, or maybe pick your brain on what you've seen out there in the retail nomad you know, journey,
absolutely.
How would they reach out to you?
Absolutely. I'd say the number one social media platform I use is LinkedIn. You know, it's my number one tool in essence. So LinkedIn, I mean, my email is just nick@theretailnomad.com. You know, nick@theretailnomad.com. Or my phone number, 858-752-1168. You know, I've had the same one for 20 years. Easy to contact me. Feel free. I love to
And how do they spell your last name if they come searching for you on LinkedIn?
Very good point. Harbaugh. Yeah. They must not like sports, right?
Yeah.
Harbaugh. H-A-R-B as in boy, A-U-G-H.
Yeah, Nick Harbaugh on LinkedIn, the retail nomad. He'll show up. You know, it might be his cardboard cutout, but you know, it'll still be him.
Heckman loved that. Yeah, he loved that.
Heckman, he showed me that. I'm like, oh my god, man, he's carrying it around at Euroshop. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I just saw him in Austin a few weeks back, and we were cracking up on that one.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, and that was very, very cool. If someone wants to get in touch with me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. Listen. It's like playing the lottery. I know you don't like me saying that, but I say it on every show. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, I can't look at it. Very tough to get in the magazine, but we got all the social media channels, and we just went over last month. 3.5 million people hit the website, and you know, we look at everything. It might take me a couple days to get to you, my TAT, or you know, turnaround time. You know, normally about 48 hours, but if I post something, I send you the link. You can share it. It's win-win. And it helps both of our SEO, that's search engine optimization, for those of you who don't know what that is, and you know, with the web. But you know, send me something. It could be anything. It could be a golf tournament. It could be, you know, new personnel announcement, a cool project that you did. We look at everything. You know, and we'll find a place for it. And so send me something. David C at ccr-mag.com. And well, Nick. What's the second half look like for you as you go into the second half in Q3 and Q4? Are you bullish? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Where are you?
I tell you what, it's another fantastic year. Last year was our top 1 or 2 years in the last 20. It was a good one. This year is parallel. It's a great year. I'll be scooting north to the States in October. Looks like going to be speaking at an event coming up in October in Oklahoma City. So it's a derivative of the retail nomad. So getting some requests for these type of things and just keeping busy, you know, it's a lot of fun out there right now.
So. Hey, listen, you know, the second half of the year, everybody I talk to, they're busy. That, you know, they can't get, you know, they can't find the labor. If they could, they would be more busier. And but they're glad that they're busy as they are. And you know, you know, every day is a you know, it's a new day. You just don't know what's going to happen.
There
You
we
know,
go.
it's crazy out
exciting.
there. So I just kind of keep my blinders on and
Exactly.
try not to listen to all the noise. And you know, if
Exactly.
something really pops up, I'll find it on my phone. My phone's going to tell me if something crazy is going on. So
There you go. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. So
Cool.
well, Nick, have a great rest of the week down south of the border.
Likewise.
And you know, I look forward to seeing you hopefully in person here one of these days. And
We'll have to make it happen.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And we appreciate you taking a couple out, you know, a little, you know, couple of minutes out of your day down there and tell your neighbor, keep hammering, man. You'll
I
get
do
it done.
apologize for that. It started about the time we hit the go button.
No, God, man, my dogs are barking. You know, there they go. There they go. See, I
It's
just
real, right?
right
It's
on
real.
cue. Right on cue. So anyway, everybody out there, have a great rest of the week. It's a short week out there. You know, Memorial Day's over. We're getting into the summer. And you know, if you're out there on a construction site, make sure you stay safe and you get home at night. Heat's coming, so stay hydrated too, because you know, dehydration, that's a bummer, man. Give you a headache and you're just sluggish and all that stuff. So we want you to get home, be hydrated, and be able to do it the following day. So Nick, say goodbye from Costa Rica.
Adios, Puta Vida from Costa Rica.
Yeah, and I'm going to say adios from Sugar Hill, just below the Buford Dam on Lake Lanier, about 25, 30 miles north of downtown ATL, Georgia. So
Beautiful.
with that said, Nick, pleasure. And to all you out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk Land, we will see you next time on another episode. And stay safe. And Nick, look forward to seeing you down the road, man. And no,
You got it, bud.
shake
Take care,
hands,
man.
all right?
All righty, take care.
All right,
Ciao.
man. See ya.